But because you haven't answered a question about whether the photo is you or not, you realize that now everybody thinks the photo is you. And so where there's smoke, there's fire. There must be a real scandal here. You must have been doing something creepy here. Let me ask you whether or not you want to answer that question, and then let me ask you what the answer to it is.
Whether the photograph is me? Well,
yeah.
Am I allowed to say I wish? I don't. Look, we don't know for sure. The photograph doesn't look familiar to me, but a lot of people who have been looking at this stuff on our behalf are cautioning me that, stuff gets manipulated, stuff gets, you can change a photograph, you can manipulate a photograph, you can doctor a photograph, and so I don't want to say with certitude it maybe didn't start out being a photograph of mine and now looks as something different, or maybe it was something that was from another account that got sent to me. I can't say for sure. I don't want to say with certitude. I'm not trying to be evasive. I just don't know.
Is it possible that this started out as a private photo of yours that ended up in the public domain accidentally, or at least in a way that you didn't intend?
Well, it could be, or it could have been a photograph that's taken out of context or manipulated or changed in some way. So maybe it did, or maybe it's a photograph that was dropped into an account from somewhere else. I can't say. I don't want to cast this net wider by saying it's someone else. So I'm going to say that I can't say with certitude it's me or it's not. Jon Stewart last night assured his public that it wasn't me for reasons that are somewhat embarrassing, but I'll leave it to your viewers to make that determination.
In terms of your constituents watching all of this unfold and wondering if there is fire here behind all of the smoke, wondering if you're doing creepy things online, essentially. How do you intend to reassure your constituents and to the people who have supported you politically that they shouldn't think that you're a creep?
Well, the simple fact here is that what this appears to be is probably what it is. Someone making fun of my name, someone trying to cause trouble for me, maybe poke fun at me. When your name is Weiner and someone posts a picture like that, the most obvious conclusion is that someone was pranking me and punking me, and I get that. I kind of am concerned about how far and wide this conspiracy theory has run. I mean, I've got people who did nothing more than just follow me on Twitter who are getting calls from reporters. We have people that I followed who they asked me to follow them who are now showing up in paper and in articles in the newspaper. Look, people get hacked all the time, hundreds of thousands of times each year. Someone has their account either compromised or someone else takes their name or something like that. It happened to me. I don't think it's the end of the world. If people want to draw this conclusion that it was, it's a much more successful hack than I think even anyone who did it could have imagined, because it's gotten all of this oxygen. This is what life is like, perhaps, in social media in the world of 2011, and I'll do the very best I can to persuade my constituents both I'm going to keep doing my job, and to be honest with you, I'm going to return to Twitter. I'm going to keep doing the things that I was doing because I think it helps me do my job.
In terms of that firm that you hired to help get to the bottom of this, will you make public anything that they find in terms of what they determine about not necessarily any security lapses that you've committed, but how this ultimately happened, so people think that this isn't you covering up something that you did?
Yeah, that's a fair request. Their primary job is going to be to try to figure out and deconstruct what happened from our perspective in terms of, whether there's a big security breach. They're also going to be looking into maybe something much worse went on here that we're still learning about. But I think it's perfectly reasonable to say, I've asked them in consultation with them whether there are any other authorities we should bring in. They're going to look into that as well. And I think it's fair for people to ask. Obviously, anything about my accounts and security we're not going to make public, but things that kind of help unravel this very important mystery, I'm certainly eager to do.
Congressman Anthony Weiner, always a very valued guest on this show. Look forward to having you back, sir. Thanks very much for joining us.